Hi everybody, it's Laura at Sheer Passion. So I want to talk to you a little bit more about myself and some of the ways that I have been so blessed in trying to understand the way that my brain works so that I can share it with you. I am so excited to be a hairstylist, and this coming April is the start of my 18th year. And throughout that journey, there have been a few things that I have done as a young woman since I moved out of my parents' home at a young age of 18 that I've experienced great gifts because I have stayed in it long enough to receive the full benefit. When I went to beauty school, I don't know if some of you remember back on my first videos that I've shared, I was very heavy in high school and I was made fun of. And that's fine. Kids are cruel, but you know what? To be quite honest with you, it is weird when we take our bodies and we morph them into things that don't look beautiful and take away from our ability to pick up things that fall on the floor, take away our self-confidence and our self-value, and make ourselves question our worth. So I get why it's so easy to pick on people who are fat, because to be quite honest with you, it's just easy. I have a heart for people who overeat themselves into oblivion, and it's not impossible to change that because I am living proof that you can live without the addiction to food. But I want to talk to you today about some of the things that you will continually hear me say as I refine myself on these video series about emotions, thinking, and action. You know, when I first became a hairstylist and I went into that room and I met all of those people, it wasn't easy for me to be the youngest person in the room with working against all odds. You know, coming from a conservative family where I was very overweight, it wasn't like I would have been the girl picked to be the next hairstylist who was going to tell you how to be beautiful and how to think well about yourself. But the reality was God had me on this journey for a reason, because I am the type of person who can persevere and push through even in the most horrible of conditions, and the obstacles that are in the way that most people would give up on, I feel challenged by. And you know, so much of that has been such a burden my whole life that no matter what I'm doing, there's somebody that puts their finger up in my face and tries to stop me. But I learned to do this. Why would they try to stop me if it doesn't matter? Why would they ever try to stand in my way if I wasn't going to make a difference with what I was choosing or doing or saying? You know what? I learned to change my thinking and understand how evil would really get into the world and tear down, but nobody would ever know it had arrived. It was going to come through communication. So much about what I read in the Bible tells me that the first thing that we really struggle with is understanding that communication is the most difficult when we are hurting. Hurting in the form of different types of emotion like frustration, fear, and anger and confusion. Especially when it deals with our family trees or it deals with relationships between men and women. So I understand what you're going through on the other side of the screen, but I'm also living proof that you can push through it and you can believe the best in yourself even when others aren't. You can achieve and you can do great things against all odds, but you're gonna need to understand that we were created by a creator God who sent his son in the flesh, Jesus Christ, to die on the cross for our sins. And while that may confuse you, understand that the first day in beauty school, everything they told me was a little bit confusing. That didn't mean that I gave up that day. I didn't give up just because I heard information that was confusing. I had an opportunity to think about it. Just because my emotions were, oh, am I ever going to get this haircutting stuff? I took the action to go the next day. Continually walking the journey to being a hairstylist meant no matter what day I was going through, I absolutely had to be a hairstylist. So even though I may not have had the greatest hairstyling or the greatest color, I choose not to give up. I choose, that was one day. And although it may have not been the greatest day, it was one day. And tomorrow is a new one day. And I'm still going to be a hairstylist tomorrow, but you know what? Tomorrow I get the opportunity to be an even better hairstylist. Now I've shared with you, I've done makeup and I've done nails and I've done skincare, and it's been awesome. It's been awesome. It's been fabulous because it is loving on the creation that God has given us. People, society, people to love on. My job is fantastic. It is also extremely difficult because you're working with the public. So you do need to have a backbone when it comes to being a hairstylist. The reality is, walking the journey to being the best woman or man that you are can then lead you to the opportunity to be the best wife, the best husband, the best sister, brother, mom, dad, business owner. That's not a cliche. I am not trying to fill your egos. I am not trying to sell you a pipe dream. I am not trying to make this unrealistic or unreachable, but you do need to understand, if we believe in a creator God who gave us a brain and gave us the opportunity to communicate, and then also gave us eyes to see what our actions actually did out there in society, you're never going to be able to convince me that we are incapable of connecting to our creator and using that ability to be better people. You know, great people are not perfect people. So please don't get my words misinterpreted. We're not looking for perfection. We're looking for great, which means murders, rapes, stealing, lies, deception, pornography, gambling, those things, drugs, alcohol, those things aren't even on the table. Those things aren't even on the table. No, those actions would never lead to better people. We already know that for a fact. So how is it that a large amount of people in society have been able to take action and actually find those things that I just mentioned a part of their life? That's what I want to talk to you about. You know, food was one of those things for me. And then when I was done with food, since that really wasn't my addiction, that was my parents', I chose lust or men, sex. You know, I'm not ashamed of that as so much I'm aware of it, and God was able to forgive it in me. But really, it was the path that I was on. Outside of Christ, there was something evil that was going to take me down. I don't feel broken by that. I don't feel burdened by that. Actually, I find it to be quite impressive that the rest of us don't seem to want to get this together. Anything outside of our Creator is going to be something that trips us up, something that tears us down. The person that created us is always going to hold us in the highest esteem. Just like our art, our haircuts, our homes that we build, our businesses that we build, our families, we should hold those in high reverence because they're part of us. So we can sort of understand how a creator who creates us would be the best caretaker. Anything outside of that is going to be something to tear us down. Competition. Think about that in business. So you're always having to be your best. It's not that easy. No, but it's not impossible either. And so the privilege of being parents is that when children are born into that relationship, that you understand it is your job to teach the child everything that you can possibly teach them about becoming a great person. And a great person needs to remember that the action that they are taking out in society is really what is important, because it's what will lead to consequences, decision making, and it's what people are going to see. Do you know how many times in hairstyling that I cut hair even though I didn't like the person and I didn't think they liked me? Can you imagine how many times I would have never made it one more day if I had ever stopped cutting hair on the emotion or the thinking that that person didn't like me and I didn't really like them? No, I still chose to be a hairstylist. See, I chose to be a hairstylist and I pushed past that smoke and mirrors, that lie, that deception. Had I done anything to be liked or not liked? Not necessarily. Now, you know, women can look at another woman and sort of gauge whether or not the other person's prettier, heavier, wealthier, married, whatever. It's not relevant. It's not relevant to our value. We would learn to be able to see so much good in others, because then we'd live in a society that says, when I go outside those doors, I also live in a town where other people are holding the standard high. I want to do that too. It does not take rocket scientists to understand that our actions really should be what allows us to take the next step. I took actions to be a hairstylist, cosmetologist for almost 18 years, and that's exactly what I am. I never gave up, no matter who was in the chair, no matter how tired my feet were. I was going to be a hairstylist, so it required me to take the action, no matter what my emotions or my thinking was. If we could start to apply that in our families, do you understand how much more powerful we would be working in numbers of people who are thriving? Because we are taking the action that says we are special and we deserve to be given a great opportunity to be mentored into we are valuable. That does not mean we're not going to make mistakes, because we will. But we will quickly pick ourselves up. Because we're accountable, we will be responsible to clean up our messes. And in families where other people understand the process, we're all there ready to help them stand back up and clean it up with them. Because when we do that, the action that we take to be accountable and responsible will teach everyone else about this Jesus we believe in, because he gave us this. You know, I love God so much, and I recognize how often I really hurt him in my free will to do whatever I wanted with men, or to say whatever I want out of my mouth. I still say whatever I want out of my mouth. I say necessary and unnecessary things. I wish more people would argue. I love to banter back and forth, but I get it. I get it. I get how often we don't stand up and we don't count ourselves valuable because we've never been taught that we are. The action has never been taken to show us that we are. Now, we read things in the Bible, but we don't connect to it. We don't connect to it because, well, we haven't really connected to words outside of the Bible. A lot of people hear words and think incorrect things, or they hear words and they take action without thinking, how will this, 10 years down the road, affect all people? Will it be positive or will it be negative? If you could think for a minute that every person in a family had been taught to make decisions that were positive for 10 years down the road, oh my word, we would be a society of thriving people, loving on other people. That would be a fantastic place to live. I don't think it's a pipe dream. I think there's a lot of you out there that do that. I would like for the rest of us to feel that. I would like the rest of us to understand that God created us with a purpose, and I believe when we plug into him that he will reveal that purpose to us. And that's what I want to leave you with. I want to leave you with that thinking, that if you plug into God's purpose, that he can reveal it to you. Thank you so much for listening. I love to talk. I try to keep these videos short. Please share my videos. I love the opportunity to talk to people and encourage you. I see things in a more positive light, and I want you to know I'm trying to walk in your shoes, and I'm out here doing the same thing, trying to be better tomorrow than I was today. Thanks so much, guys. Tune in soon. Read the blog, Sheer Passion to Blog at blogspot.com, SHEER. Thanks so much. Bye.